mental illness. In that case, it was bipolar, and she called herself Insight at that time. So I'm putting in here, if you see at the top of the slide, it is not having it, bipolar, it's living with it. Every single day, it changes your entire life. And this is the feeling that I'm getting it with my students and dealing with a lot of people, either adults, teenagers, or young children who have some form of mental illness. It is not getting the diagnosis, it is what's next. And today I'm hoping we will address some of these, what can we do next. Signs and symptoms of teenagers, I think from the video you got enough insights for that. What is the big deal if we don't treat depression in here? Untreated depression, we can end up with so many other things, alcohol and drug abuse, academic problems. For the alcohol and drug abuse, FCPS, that's Fairfax County Public Schools, conducts an annual youth survey, and it's usually public information. Any one of you can Google and access this information. From the survey of 2017, it is kids will try or attempt to drink alcohol as young as 6th grade. This is so young. So this is very important for us to understand that this is not something that, until they hit certain age, they are hit with peer pressure when they are faced with these issues. Academic problems, family conflicts and relationship, involvement with the juvenile justice system, suicide. And I will want to a little bit to, there was the other issue before we talk about suicide, the mass shooting. You were aware of what's going on in the news and what's happening in the school. And if we look back at data and statistics, USA has at least 137 mass shooting on an annual basis. This is such a big number to be scared of. But let's look at suicide for a second. So suicide warning signs to watch for, talking or joking about committing suicide, saying things like, I'll be better off dead, I wish I could disappear forever, speaking positively about this, like, if I die, so and so, engaging in restless behavior, giving prize possession. And this issue, I have seen it in the school system from as early as 4th grade. In previous years, I worked with students who they have a medical diagnosis of anxiety and depression. They would sit in the classroom rather than working on their work. They are drawing pictures of how they will commit suicide. And unfortunately, sometimes the case teachers can be the first responders to these kind of problems. Last year, I was working with a student who was not identified in our school system as a special ed student, but he had all the symptoms. It was so clear in there, and I'm so happy that I took the challenge to monitor that kid, because by the middle of the year, he confided to me that he was going to commit suicide. His parents were notified, and they put him in therapy, and he was on hopefully getting the treatments that he needs. But what makes suicide is so scary is statistics are showing us that I don't know why is this one not working. Is there a problem with it somewhere? Okay. So 1 out of 5 adolescents has a diagnosable mental health disorder, but only 50% will receive help. And then nearly 20% of teens seriously consider suicide, but then 1 out of 12 teenagers will attempt to commit suicide. These are scary numbers that is given to us by the Center of Disease Control and Prevention. It is very important for us to spread awareness, talk about where is all this mess coming from. So causes of depression, we are gonna just skip over that. One of the causes that we see more in the Muslims community is that, unfortunately, we have a lot of immigrants, there's more poverty, there's lack of education. If you look at the people who are, based on the National Child Trauma Stress Network, they have created, and again, this one, I'm sorry, it is very slow. The core stressors overview diagram of what is affecting the immigrant students and families. This is very significant because if you look at it, the trauma, it takes over the environmental aspects, the social, the emotional regulation. Then you have the just getting adjusted to a new society and a new thing. You come here, you don't know the language, you don't know a lot of the things, and then if you are hit with some other issues, then the impact is double. There was a study done by the Ohio Department of Education where they focused on how the child brain development is affected by trauma, and according to the study, one out of 4 children will be hit with a trauma and it will be impacted. So if you look at the diagram here, in a typical child development, cognition is the first thing, survival is the last thing. However, this study, it shows us that in a child who faced traumatic event in his life, survival is the one that takes precedence over everything else. So that is pretty important. So what can we do about all of this? What is the Islamic role in solving these issues? So again, Islam is built on multiple fundamental beliefs. Islam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us to test us in this life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has the power to change things for us. Allah, He says in the Quran, if God afflict you with harm, none can remove it except Him, and if He wants good for you, none can repel His grace. He makes it reach whomever. So again, the belief that we as humans, we might not have the full picture of what is going on. And these Islamic concepts and fundamental understanding can help the Muslim's family support their child or their teen overcome and accept depression as that this is a test from God and God is going to reward them for it to move forward from there. If we look at Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, as a case study, he had all the reasons in the world for him to be depressed. He was born orphan, his family rejected him, his tribe rejected him after he became a prophet. He was fought, he was faced with so many issues, but still he did not face depression. He had many reasons, and just 20 reasons why he did not, but again, because of initially my presentation was supposed to be for 45 minutes, so it changed, that's okay. That's why some of the slides we will just go through it. We know that God says, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وَأَقَامُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَآتُوا الزَّكَاةَ لَهُمْ أَجْرٌ عِندَ رَبِّهِمْ وَلَا خَوْفٌ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا هُمْ يَحْزَنُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says in the Quran that everyone, we warrant you those who believe and do good deeds and pray regularly and give charity, they will have their reward with their Lord. They will have no fear, nor shall they grieve. So that belief is an important virtue in there. In the previous slide, there was also some talk about the concept of forgiveness. Muhammad, peace be upon him, after he reclaimed the city of Mecca, the people asked him, what are you going to do with us? He said, what do you think I'm going to do? He decided to do and tell them, just like Joseph said to his brothers, who threw me in the well. I think a lot of you, either Muslims or Christian, you are familiar with that story. He just said, you are forgiven, you may go free. That forgiveness, even from a scientific point of view, it shows that, when you are forgiving, you're letting go of that weight on your shoulder. So again, a lot of these traits, prayer, with prayer, we know that now research also, they are telling you, when you put your forehead on the ground, it is releasing a lot of negative neutrons in your body. So there is a lot of science that back up a lot of the Islamic belief we have. So what is our role in here? We do say that it all starts with you.
Sorry. This is amazing. Thank you so much. I love how you've got 20 points as well. Before we move on, can I ask, even though he has strong faith, the strongest faith, it doesn't make him impervious
Of course.
to developing psychological disorders. Is that correct?
Of course, yes. And he did suffer from sadness and, tough moments. And he had the support of, again, this is where the support comes in to help, because his wife, for example, his first wife supported him in the beginning when he was tested, like, I didn't know if I saw an angel or not.
Yes.
So he did support, and when he traveled with his friend from Mecca to Medina, he also had that strength that when he was in the cave hiding away, he said, do not worry, do not be fearful, do not be sad, God is watching with us. And again, I'm sorry, I'm skipping a lot because it's just, I want to share with you a lot of the things that I had in mind. But again, the issue is, I don't know if some of you you are familiar with Mind in the Making books. Anyone? So Mind in the Making book by Ellen Galansky. It is a parenting and an educator book that focuses on teaching 7 principles to help child development and build executive functioning skills to survive whatever difficulty they can come. This can be communication, making connection, taking on challenges, overcoming these like small things rather than come up. And she has the strong belief that we cannot teach what we cannot have. So as parents and educators, we have to know ourselves, how do I deal with depressing mood or that feeling of sadness when I have it, for me to be able to teach it to the children. So if we come to the family role, it's really getting educated and be well informed. I always tell parents during individualized educational meeting, the IEP meeting, you are the I in that meeting. So sit with that meeting with that confidence that you have the power to dictate really where you want the plan to go. But parents, they need to be educated about it. They need to be aware of their rights. With our Muslim population, they do get translators. They do get a lot of workshops in the school systems. All they need to do is really access this information. But first, again, they need to understand that your child is not choosing to be depressed and is not choosing to apply learning strategies. And I think I missed the word "not" before apply learning strategies. It is very important to seek out professionals. Just reading Quran or making dua and making salah is not going to make your child feel better and get over that depression mood. You need to access professional help, and you need to involve the school. Parents, they will still have to go through that grieving process of, it has to do with any type of disabilities, denial or anger or looking for that magic pill, fight or flight response. We do see that from all of parents across all the board. And then at some point they will come to the calm acceptance. This is my child, this is their situation. Let me see what can I do to move in it. They need time to grieve, but hopefully they will not take too much time to indulge in that feeling. It's very important to explain the situation to your child. Your child is not dumb. A child with depression or anxiety or whatever kind of disability is totally aware that they are different than their peers. take the time to sit with them and talk to them. Usually in the federal regulation, by age 14, children are required to attend their IEP meetings. Prior to that, it's the parents' job to talk to the parents about, to the child about their disabilities and its impact on them. Just to build that, there's nothing wrong with you, it's okay, this is just one kind of issues. And I do talk to my students a lot about the issue of like the mental health issues and comparing it to someone having an asthma. I said, if your friend has asthma, do you just come to that friend and say that, you know what, you don't need the inhaler, you're fine, just get over it. They don't. They need that medication, and it is the same thing with the mental health issues. It is very important, to be a model in that openness. A few months ago, I was sitting with a parent who was telling me how she's struggling with her child because every time, and this is a fifth grader who will literally flip every time he makes a mistake. So he's a perfectionist, he wants everything to be right. And I asked her, I said, do you make mistakes at home? She said, no, I don't. I said, well, my advice to you is I want you to make mistakes at home. And I want you to talk to your child how today I made this mistake and this is how I deal with it. So it's very important for the kids, to see that. Yeah. Oh, did you raise your hand? 5 minutes? Okay, thank you. Yes. So, yeah. Telling your child that he is loved is very important. One time I did an interview with a nurse who worked at Dominion Hospital. And she told me herself that her own child went through, unfortunately, psychosis where he lost complete touch with reality. And she said, every day I will talk to him and I'll say, I love you, thinking that he's not even listening to me or hearing me. She said after he came out of that period of difficulty, he told her that every day I'll be waiting for you to tell me I love you. I want to see if you still love me or not. So that is a very important thing. Laugh, have a humor, build some quality time with your child. Fill your child's schedule. We know that if we don't keep our kids busy, they will keep us busy. So it's better you go and fill out that schedule for them, let them monitor and what really triggered their depression. A friend of mine who has chronic depression, she says that she monitors her depression and the second she feels it, she hits the gym. But she doesn't wait too long because she said if I wait too long, I'll be too tired for me to go in there. Monitor the diet again. Trust that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to help you through this difficult time. That if God gave you as a parent or for you as a person that challenge, it's because God knows that you can handle that kind of difficulty. We come to the educator's role, and like I shared with you earlier, we do really work a lot with the students. We spend 6 to 7 hours with them on a daily basis. Our day is really very, very busy. It's very important for educators to be aware of the signs of these issues, especially the issue of suicide. So like for me, I have a student right now who's, when I see him with slashes on his wrist, this is an alarm thing for me. I need to contact the parents right away. Teachers, they do need to be trained. This is something that doesn't come automatically. Schools need to provide mental health and trauma training. Teachers do need to recognize the difference between a child being sad because of their type of disability and between the chronic depression. And teachers need to always focus on the strengths rather than the difficulty. Teachers need to build a good, strong IEP plan or 504. 504 plan is usually, we leave it for kids who have like ADHD or other health impairment. We want to involve the teacher, the school counselor, building, teaching good, positive coping skills. I have a weekly, we call it the Blue Club in here at school, and this is just my way of telling the kids this is your club, but basically this is a social and emotional and coping skills lessons where we do on a weekly basis. Teach your child WHOOP, and WHOOP is something that can be used by what's your wish, what's the outcome, the obstacle, what's your plan. Again, continue to seek professional learning, celebrate success, and just, keep going. Thank you so much.
So my name is Aasma Mehdi. I'm from Counseling People's Organization, and then I'm also a training facilitator with ADP, Alternative Violence Project. And this is
Assalamualaikum. Hi everyone. My name is Ilham Khairi. I'm AVB facilitator, and shortly we will explain what AVB is. And another hat that I represent also is I am interpreter, translator for Arabic speaker. I am also a health coordinator for community health promoter at IRC. So hopefully we will be able through AVB to present kind of an idea what AVB and how it can help. And thank you already. The previous presenter did a lot of work, so we will not do into that. But first of all, I would like to ask you to those who would you please come down here? I would like you at least to be in front, move for me please. And at least, if not like a big move, at least have someone to sit beside. So please, would you please stand for me and come in front? Thank you so much.
we just want you to have a partner sitting next to you, if that's okay.
And can you hear me without a mic? Good. Please make sure that you have someone sit beside you. Thank you so much.
We promise we're not having a therapy session. One partner is enough.
All right?
All right, are we ready? So I'd like you to take 2 minutes and think of a positive adjective name that starts off with your first name, first letter. So for example, my name is Aasma, and I would say ambitious Aasma.
My name is Ilham, and I will say, although I will go with the phonetic, although it is an I will say inspiration, Ilham.
So after you think of a positive adjective that starts with the first letter of your first name, I want you to share it with the person sitting next to you.
And switch turn, please, for the first minute. And for the second minute, you ask your partner. Oh, you are engaging already. Are we switching? Is everyone have the time to share the name and the adjective?
Everyone?
Hello? Hello? All right.
Did we share?
Good.
Okay.
So we have one more question. Share with the person here or beside you when the last time you really laughed from the bottom of your heart. Really laughed. When is the last time you really laughed? And share that with your
get to it why we did this little activity later on in the presentation. So before I go in, I would actually like to thank Dr. Farah for having me here today. A few months ago, and I had done this presentation, and she really liked it. And she said, "You know, how come you didn't submit anything this year?" Well, I have a son who's on the spectrum also, so it's so hard for me to travel to far places and to travel with him because of his tantrums. So I apologize that I was missing half the time during the later afternoon sessions. So moving on forward, COPO, Council People's Organization. Okay. So we first were called Pakistan Organization, but we changed it to People's Organization. We actually had people come into our doors who were not Pakistani after 9/11. You know, when 9/11 had happened, we opened our doors specifically to Pakistani people. Hey, maybe it's only Pakistanis that are suffering from these hate crimes. Nope. Turns out there's other ethnicity, other groups that are actually coming in. We had Bengalis coming in. We had African Americans coming in. We are located in Brooklyn, Coney Island Avenue. And near us is the Flatbush Avenue. We have the Jamaicans, the African Americans. We have the Jewish community. Further down, I'm sorry. Turkish community as well. Yes, thank you. So that's why we changed it from Pakistan to People's Organization. Our main goal is basically we were planning on to do just South Asians, but we opened our doors to all Muslims, I should say. And COPO's mission today is to really assist low-income immigrant families, particularly South Asians and Muslims, to reach their full potential as residents of New York City. COPO empowers marginalized communities to advocate for their rights and understand their responsibilities as Americans. How many immigrants? I know there probably are quite a few in here. You guys did not know when you guys were coming in this country. Hey, what are my rights? What can I do? 5 years after I have my green card, what can I do? What are the benefits that I can receive? So we started off as a social, social work perspective organization. So we have a lot of, I would say, we have SNAP program on site you can apply. We have citizenship classes that you can go for. We have ESL classes. We have, now we actually started more on our youth empowerment program, which is going to be the focus for today. It used to be just academics that parents would come in, you know what, I need my child to have an A in class. He needs tutoring in math, science, English. Okay, fine, we'll provide it to you. Let's see how many students we get. Later on, we realized, hey, students actually need a safe place to talk. Like, something else is going on in the school environment. So what's going on? A lot of bullying. So, and especially being a Muslim in this day and age, you can't stop it, right? It's happening. Can't say the president, right? It's accepted in our schools. And I know there are other presentations going on about bullying this past 2 days, and I'm sorry if I'm repeating things. So what we do, again, is I have our youth empowerment program. Okay, with my youth empowerment program, what I did is we have the academic piece on 2 days a week, but then we also have the ABP piece, the Alternatives Violence Project piece. So I'm an ABP facilitator, and I actually started off in 2012 with ABP. And I was in undergraduate school and getting my master's, and I found out about ABP through a professor of mine, and she said, you know what, if you guys want extra credit, just go for it. Hey, I jumped right through the workshop. I said, let's see what happens, okay? So now a little bit story behind the ABP is I didn't know until I went to the workshop that it actually started off in the 1970s when a group of inmates witnessed the Attica riots and were also concerned with the revolving door they had seen in their institution. The group was known as the Think Tanks at Greenhaven Prison located in New York. It became a concern when the youth were seen in prison for minor offenses, only to return for an increasing amount of serious and more violent crimes. It was a sign at a conflict around the time during the Vietnam War, and the Society of Friends, who has heard of the Quakers? Oh, okay, good. So they were very active in the prison system and were known to have conducted nonviolence training. Have you guys heard of that? Okay, awesome. And they've done interventions around the war demonstrations, talking about ABP.
Good. and so that's like a kind of how AVB project born in the prison, in New Haven prison here in New York, where they realized there's many violence among the prisoners, but also what bring the youth having a problem and violence problem and conflicted with the law. So from there, it's like they started to do this program and this workshop and this kind of circles, and with the results and the good results, they start to asking for more. And from there, they said like, okay, it's working in the prison, so why not let's go out of the prison and start it like not after the problem, like before the problem, let's go to the community. And at the start, as I said, New Haven prison, New York, out there to the neighborhood, to the community. My personal experience with AVB Alternative to Violence Project, and we still name it AVB Alternative to Violence Project because it started as a project and is still ongoing as a project. So for me, it's like was 2005 when AVB, a German AVB facilitator, came to Sudan from Germany. So see how AVB traveling, let's become international. So from there she visited Sudan and she said, okay, here I am. She was like just combining her husband mission with the DAD, and then said like, okay, let's do AVB in Sudan. And from there we start and establish Alternative to Violence project in Sudan. Until this moment we are very active. We have different target group, in specific with youth, our experience where we work with a teenager, with a university student or college students, and we were targeting youth students because there was a high percentage of violence among students, especially like during the election of the student and inside the university, and they always attached to what's happening in the country and the political situation there. And it brings a good impact and a good result in reducing the way that the student treating in their engaging in those elections and those attitude and behavior. So I will not stay there long, but I myself moved to USA and I came to Richmond, Virginia. And I be engaged with Richmond Education Peace Center, where we have an active alternative to violence project, and we implement it in conflict resolution. We implement it with parenting and youth, and we are in a leadership program, and already the same with Aasma in her work and in her organization and school. I also, as I said earlier, I work with refugees and immigrants, and it's really, that's what is like my backbone to work with my clients. I am not from a background of clinic, but AVB is kind of the, what you call it earlier. It's not like a therapy clinic, but it gave the impact of
Therapeutic.
Yeah, go ahead, Aasma.
It's actually not therapy, so AVP is not considered therapy, but it's very therapeutic for the participants. I actually have a master's in mental health counseling, so it's like an additional tool or resource that I use with my youth. And so AVP's mission actually is to build an international movement of creative conflict resolution built on affirmation, respect for all, community cooperation, and trust, which is so difficult in our youth today. So I thought, you know what? I've done the adult workshops. I went through the 3 different levels of training. I did the basic level, the advanced level, and then the T4F, and then we have to go in and we co-facilitate workshops. I've done that. I said, okay, you know what? Now I want to go into the school system. You know what happened? When I went into the school system, I called it AVP workshops. Everyone's like, we don't have a problem with violence. No, we don't need to go to that group. So guess what I did? With my youth program, I changed the name to just the youth empowerment program in general, or in schools, I technically call it leadership groups. So what happens there is then I get the engagement from the parents, engagement from the teachers, engagement from the counselor on staff, or from the vice principal. I get all that support, like, oh my God, leadership skills, yes, that's what we need from our youth today. So then what happened is that I started, once I received the students, and I tell you, honestly, the first 3-4 days, I was like, I don't have not even one student. What do I do? How do I get my foot in the door? You know, when I first went into the school system, they needed an AP psychology teacher. Guess who's offered her stuff? I was like, okay, you know what? I have a master's in mental health counseling, and I can assist. I'm getting my PhD in mental health counseling. I'm done with my coursework. I'm in my dissertation phase, so do I qualify? Yes, you do. All right, I got my foot in the door. Now I have 12th grade students who wanted to attend more, and they started sharing things throughout. So in my AP psychology course, what I did is I incorporated some of my ADP skills. I said, okay, you know what, we're not going to sit in lecture form. I'm not going to stand here and lecture you guys. Let's sit in a circle. Grab the chairs and let's just sit in a circle. That creates a sense of community. Okay, let's have some ground rules. You know what, we're going to touch upon some topics in this course, which may be very personal, and whatever is shared stays in this room. You know, then creating a little bit of a therapeutic environment for them. Same thing I do in the office. So we have the Youth Empowerment Program in Brooklyn, located again on Coney Island Avenue. What we do is we run it on Saturdays. Why? And every 6 months, it runs for 6 months. Every 6 months I do an evaluation of, okay, what's the group that's coming in? What's the need of this group? And we always change the timings. Previously 6 months, it was Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Now it's Tuesdays, Wednesdays we do academics, Saturdays we do the ADP workshops. Because the students, you know, they come to us and they say, we can't really focus on our academics and then jump into like, oh, well, let's do an activity. At the same time, we also provide, we have pool tables, we have foosball tables, we do a lot of other social activities with them, where they have that safe environment and parents actually sit outside in the waiting area. They're like, okay, are you sure that the boys and girls are not playing together? We have 2 separate rooms for them, trust me. And every 6 months, we have to change, okay, let's see who's coming in. Right now, currently in 2018, our program is very diverse. We actually have Arabs, South Asians, and by South Asian I mean we have Bengalis, we have Pakistanis, we have some Turkish, we have I think 2 or 3 African Americans in the group. And what happened when they wanted to play basketball, you know what I did? The Arabs didn't want to play with the Pakistanis, and the African Americans and the Turkish, they were all 3 separate groups. I said, you know what? The backyard needs to be cleaned. And I think I have a picture. Oh, it comes up. This is the whole thing. Okay, I don't know what's going on. Oh, there we go. Okay. So what we did is, because we all know that they all are facing some type of bullying in school, that they had shared at their intakes. So when students come in, they share whatever was happening in school, and I'm like, okay, you know what? They all have the same thing. What's going on? How come we can't have them play together? So I said, okay, you have, they wanted to play basketball. They had 1 hour to clean up the backyard. I said, you guys have to do it together. If I hear any name callings or anything, that's it. We're going back inside and we're going to do some homework up or something. Guess what happened? They all participated and they all said to each other, you know what, Miss Aasma's going to come and then we're not going to get to play. Come on, let's work together, let's do it. It happens, sometimes it's spontaneous, it will happen, sometimes yes, name calling and things like that do still occur within the group. And these are pictures of them playing Uno, and you can see boys and girls, we have them separate. We do have younger siblings who do come in as well, who enjoy the program. This is them cleaning up the backyard, actually. All right. So again, so ADP and our youth empowerment program. So ADP skills and training really enhance the youth empowerment program. It helps to assist in offering alternative activities to being on the streets involved with drugs and violence, and at the same time providing them with a learning opportunity. In career training, academic enhancement, leadership development, support services, and stress reduction through meditation. We also have set in place a youth empowerment catered to better understanding bullying with youth to educate them on how to prevent and deal with bullying, which is where the ADP piece comes in. And do you want to continue from the
I guess our time is done, but I would like just read it for you because you already heard about it. It's the pillars that's AVP built on. It's built on affirmation and communication. Minute exercise area. and cooperation. You cooperate with me, you move and you change your plate. Thank you so much. That's how the community build up, and that's how, and also community building and transforming power and conflict resolution, which Aasma mentioned some examples and others presenter as well. What I would like to talk about AVP as a closing too is it is something that is already a treasure within the person. You just dig and highlight it and encourage the youth or the person and individual to do it. It is for youth, it is for adult, it is a lifestyle. So it helps the individual to build a family. From the family we build the community and we heal together.
And so just to piggyback what we did earlier is that's how we start off our groups in AVP. That's the first thing after the ground rules. We start off with adjective names because a lot of the youth coming in who I work with are probably at risk for depression and anxiety, and that's how we basically have a system where we'll screen them and to make sure that, okay, you know what, they will be fit for our program. And then also, starting off with the affirmation for them, sometimes they probably never heard it. I mean, this is the first time in 2018, this year, that I have youth who are coming from different backgrounds who have been displaced in like 3 or 4 foster homes. They have siblings who are in different homes, and you know what? They called up their sibling, okay, you know, I'm part of the youth empowerment program, let's meet up over there. Why don't you come there also? And so it's a safe place, safe environment that we create for them where they can talk openly about such issues that they're going through. And our youth empowerment program is actually facilitated by MSW or MHC who have training in AVP. And it just really helps to bring along the experience and the skills. From not just a clinical point, but then also this community that AVP has created. And to be honest, we met for the first time today. She's from AVP in Richmond, Virginia. I'm from AVP in New York. So we've just spoken through what happened is my partner couldn't make it to today's event. So I said, you know what, let me reach out to my AVP group and see if somebody else is able to make it. And Ilham offered. You know, she said, I'll be there, don't worry, I'll be your support. And that's the community that I really love about AVP, which I'm incorporating into COPO and our program. It's that safe place again that even us as clinicians, sometimes we don't have, like we can't discuss some things with our colleagues. And you know what? I go to my AVP mother, who is Margaret Lechner, who couldn't make it today. And I was trained under her. And I just really appreciate all the skills that I have received from AVP and then also my schooling, and that I can help my Muslim youth and be on the same page as them. And that's it.